Alpha Otis O'Daniel Stephens was executed by electrocution in Georgia for the 1975 murder of Roy Asbell during a burglary gone wrong. However, Stephens made headlines for two extraordinary reasons. Firstly, he miraculously survived the initial electrocution, necessitating a second application of the lethal current, an incredibly rare occurrence. Secondly, it was later revealed that the Georgia Department of Corrections had been covertly recording audio during executions, creating a secret archive of these haunting proceedings.
The true drama unfolds in the concealed audio recordings, where prison officials grapple with a shocking revelation. Their electrocution did not end the prisoner's life. Minutes of agonizing anticipation pass as they wait for the body to cool, granting doctors the chance to officially examine it. With trepidation, they restart the execution process. It seems they barely succeed in ending his life on the second attempt, as officials openly express concern about lingering signs of breath late in the procedure.
Alpha Otis O'Daniel Stephens was killed by electrocution on December 12, 1984. His was a so-called botched execution because it took more than one attempt to take his life. Stephens remained alive after the initial 2-minute jolt to his body. He was electrocuted again after doctors pronounced him still alive following a 6-minute pause. The total execution took more than 20 minutes. This recording was made from inside the death chamber. Again, listen carefully.
Carry out the execution by the order of the court. There's no reason to delay.
Very well. On my count of 3, press your button. 1, 2, 3. The execution now has begun. There was one small jerk from the condemned at the time the execution was initiated. He is sitting very still now, and we are also now into the second phase of the execution. We're now into the third phase of the execution. No movement from the condemned. No activity or no movement from the witnesses. He appears to be relaxing a little bit more now. There's 60 seconds remaining on the third phase of the execution. There is a slight movement from the condemned's head. He seems to be moving his head from side to side slightly.
I show the time is 12:19.
Commissioner, he is still moving his head, and he seems to have slumped down in a relaxing type position in the chair. But his head is moving from side to side slightly. Commissioner, Mr. Long, the execution is completed at this time. The electrical panel box is secured and locked. I do not detect any movement from the condemned at this time. He seems to have stopped moving his head and also his arms.
I show the time is 12:20.
You are in the lapse time countdown, is that correct?
Yes, sir. We're into the first minute of the lapse time now. No movement from any of the witnesses, and at this time, no movement from the condemned. We have now completed 1 minute of lapse time, 4 minutes remaining. 2 minutes of lapse time completed at this time, 3 minutes remaining. Still, very little movement from any of the witnesses, and I detect no movement from the condemned at this time.
I show the time is 12:22.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
There is some slight movement. He's still moving his head slightly. The only thing we can do is continue until the physicians can check him after the lapse time has expired.
Don't vary from your checklist.
Okay. Okay, we have completed 3 minutes of lapse time, 2 minutes remaining. Commissioner, Mr. Long?
Yes.
He is still moving his head slightly. Kind of a bobbing up and down movement. Commissioner?
Yes.
Mr. Long, we have completed 4 minutes of lapse time. We have 1 minute remaining. And from my vantage point, I do detect, or it seems to be, that he is breathing. Commissioner, Mr. Long, we have completed the 5 minutes lapse time. Stand by for the physician's check. Commissioner?
Yes.
It appears, and the doctors agree with me, that he's still breathing. You want us to check him and then go through it again, or just go ahead and go through it again?
Check him and then go through him again. Definitely check him. Don't vary from the checklist.
All right.
Have them check him.
Okay. So I can't think. Do we announce that we're going to do it again?
It doesn't say so.
Okay.
It remains on.
Okay.
Time at 12:26 and 30 seconds.
Commissioner?
Yes.
Doctors verify that he is still alive.
Repeat the execution.
Very well. Ready to go again? Ready.
Better check all the connections. Well,
Yes, sir.
did you tell the witnesses that you were repeating?
No, I didn't.
I think you should tell them.
Okay. You want me to just advise them that
Just advise them.
in the process and not go into any detail?
That's right.
Okay.
Positions and have vital signs.
Wait just a minute.
Tell the position and vital signs.
Commissioner,
Final.
the superintendent is entering the execution chamber and approaching the mic at this time to advise the witnesses that we will proceed again with the execution.
Willis, if you can, tell him there were some vital signs remaining, so the execution will repeat. You can get that message to him.
Oh, it's too late now. He's already briefed him and he's on the way back in, sir.
Fine. All right.
I show the time is 12:28.
Okay, Commissioner, we'll proceed at this time.
See.
On my count of three, you press your button. 1, 2, 3.
Commissioner, Mr. Long, the execution is initiated again at this time. The condemned made one big jerk, and now he is relaxing in the chair. I do not detect any other movement from the condemned at this time. We have completed the first and second phase of the execution. We are now into the third phase. I do detect his head moving side to side again. We're still into the third phase of the execution. Commissioner, Mr. Long?
Yes.
He is still at this time moving his head from side to side and appears to be breathing. We'll continue just like we did previously.
You'll have to check that later.
We have 15 seconds remaining on the third phase of the execution. Commissioner, Mr. Long, the third phase of the execution is completed. The equipment is switched off, secured at this time. We're now into the 5 minutes lapse time.
What is the status on condemned?
Sir, he appears to be breathing to me.
You're going to have them check those sponges and check their connections. There's something they don't have connected right, Willis. But that,
Yes, sir. You want us to go ahead and complete this whole thing and then
yeah, complete your phase, and then you're going to have to make your check.
okay, sir. Commissioner, Mr. Long, we have completed 1 minute of lapse time. We have 4 minutes remaining. I might also advise at this time that I do not detect any movement from him at this time. He appears to have stopped moving. Still no movement from any of the witnesses. They were just sitting very still, observing the condemned in the chair.
Show the time at 12:32.
We have now completed 2 minutes of phase time, lap time. We have 3 minutes remaining. Might also add that I do not detect any movement from the condemned. Commissioner, Mr. Long, we have now completed 3 minutes lapse time. We have 2 minutes remaining. There is still no movement from the condemned. Commissioner, Mr. Long, we have completed 4 minutes of lapse time. We have 1 minute remaining. Still no undetectable movement from the condemned. He does seem to have stopped moving entirely. Commissioner, Mr. Long, we have completed our 5 minutes lapse time. Stand by for the physician's check. At this time, the superintendent and the two physicians are entering the execution chambers for their check. The First doctor is now in the process of making his check for vital signs.
Show the time at 12:36. I show the time is 12:37.
Second doctor is still in the process of conducting his check for vital signs. 12:37. The superintendent is at this time, Commissioner, Mr. Long, is in the process of briefing the witnesses that at 12:37 hours, this date, the condemned was pronounced dead. He has instructed all witnesses to depart the witness room. Back to the front of the institution. At this time, the curtains are drawn.
That was a recording from the execution of Alpha Otis O'Daniel Stephens. The execution actually lasted more than 20 minutes.
Sonny Boy Stephens, who embarked on a life of crime at the young age of 16, met his demise at 12:37 a.m. on December 12, 1984, without making a final statement. There were 15 witnesses to his execution. Stephens, who had spent 9 years on death row, left behind a legacy of crime and a trail of violence that defined his life. The execution followed the Supreme Court's rejection of 2 appeals, leaving Stephens with no reprieve. Neither his wife nor his teenage daughter visited Stephens at the prison. Outside the prison, demonstrators held contrasting signs, representing the polarizing debate on death penalty.